This video contains the sound of 10 years evaporating. We waited 10 years for that. Lost Soul Aside is a game of extremes. Sometimes it looks spectacular. Sometimes it sounds like this.
How dare you disturb my sleep? I hope you have dug your graves ready to be filled.
This guy's cranky when you wake him up.
That was illegal. In 2016, one man looked at Devil May Cry and said, "I can do that." And then he disappeared for 10 years, emerging only occasionally to drop a trailer so visually illegal it made Unreal Engine blush. And now, it's finally here. This is Lost Soul Aside, a game where the combat feels like it was handcrafted by caffeinated angels, and everything else feels like it was assembled in a parking lot. The voice acting sounds like the actors are being held at emotional gunpoint. Facial animations were clearly outsourced to a haunted mannequin, but then you start mashing square, and suddenly, you are him. This is what happens when you put 100% of your skill points into cool and 0 into functional human being. Hi guys, today we are investigating the most stylish identity crisis in modern action gaming. Lost Soul Aside does not tell a story, it assembles one. There is a difference. A story unfolds. This one teleports. Characters speak about events you were not present for. Relationships exist in theory. At several points, the game introduces a dramatic escalation, betrayal, cosmic threat, existential revelation, and then fucks off before you've processed why it matters. It feels less like a narrative arc and more like someone flipping through a highlight reel of a better written game. Characters enter scenes with emotional intensity calibrated to 100. Your understanding of the situation is calibrated to 12. You are told something is important. You are rarely shown why. The script gestures at depth, constantly. Take Zana, for example. The character you spoke to once, and I do mean once. She has apparently been running a full PR campaign about you to her homies ever since. You walk into a room and everyone's like, "Oh, you're that guy?" No, I'm not that guy. We made eye contact during a meeting, guy. We exchanged 3 lines of dialogue, and now she's out here describing me like we survived the war together.
Hey, Zana. Anything on your mind?
You're just an ordinary citizen.
What the fuck? Did you really just call me a fucking ordinary? Ma'am, we did not bond. We merely experienced proximity. This game likes to imply history, and then it refuses to sit with any of it. Here's what I don't understand about this guy. He catches his sister mid-fall, throws her back up with one arm, establishes beyond debate that he has superhuman strength, and then decides gravity is canon now. Brother, you literally parry enemies built like industrial refrigerators. But the moment it's time to do one pull-up, suddenly we're respecting physics. This isn't storytelling, this is narrative butchering. There are moments where you can see the outline of something compelling. A fractured protagonist, a cosmic scale conflict, a world scarred by prior events, and then the game immediately cuts away, as if worried you might start asking questions. By the end, the story feels less like a cohesive journey and more like a crime scene of good ideas. You can see the ambition, you can see the potential, you can see the chalk outlines where the coherence should have been. And unfortunately, the body count includes your emotional investment. Sound design, or more accurately, the lack of it. On the surface, things appear functional. Sword swings? Acceptable. They make noise. They imply contact. No complaints there. But the implication is doing a lot of the heavy lifting, because the moment you start taking damage, the illusion collapses. There's no weight to it, no audible punishment, no sense of consequence. You lose health the way you lose a background app. Silently. Combat is supposed to communicate pain, risk, and escalation. Over here, damage feels like a clerical adjustment. It is difficult to feel endangered when the game refuses to acknowledge that I've had my balls exploded from the fist of a mass-murdering machine. Sound is feedback. Feedback is reinforcement. Reinforcement is satisfaction. Remove that chain, and combat becomes interpretive dance. And then we arrive at the true crime: sound balance. Observe the Emperor's exposition scene, a supposedly pivotal recounting of past events, history, revelation, gravitas, and yet his voice is buried beneath ambient chaos, like a narrator trapped under a construction site.
With aid from several Voidrax pacifists.
I can't hear a goddamn thing. You're decoding muffled radio transmission during a thunderstorm. If your exposition requires subtitles to compete with its own sound effects, something has gone structurally wrong. This isn't an isolated mishap. It is a pattern. Dialogue struggles against music. Combat lacks reactive impact. Damage is sonically invisible. The audio does not elevate the experience, it survives it. And unfortunately, your ears are collateral damage. If you watched the trailers, Arena sounded way better.
Come, Kaiser. We will travel across worlds.
He was measured, dangerous, sounded a little like Optimus Prime. It's like a case study in how to remove authority from a character that is literally a dragon. Unfortunately, somewhere between marketing and release, the dragon lost its myth. There are many moments where Kaiser sounds less like a character and more like a placeholder voice that accidentally made it into the final build. Dialogue in Lost Soul Aside is written with the confidence of a 9th grader. Every conversation feels like two mannequins discovering human language for the first time. The antagonists speak exclusively in vague prophecy.
Give up your futile struggle. Embrace your fate. Become one with the grand cycle, and you shall understand the true secret of life.
Sir? What the fuck does that even mean? The direction feels absent. The dialogue feels translated, not localized. Scenes escalate visually, but vocally, we remain spiritually horizontal, which makes it even more surreal, because 5 minutes ago, I was juggling enemies like a caffeinated demigod, and now I'm listening to a man-explained destiny with the enthusiasm of a voicemail greeting. You see, this is the identity crisis. The combat screams, the cutscenes whisper. Now, to be fair, the visual effects team did show up. The particles are enthusiastic. The explosions are vibrant. Sparks fly with genuine commitment. The combat starts off with the grace of a shopping cart, missing a wheel. And then, you level up. Suddenly, you're weaving combos like it's a Devil May Cry montage that someone uploaded with funk music in the background. You feel unstoppable. You are unstoppable until you realize every fight starts looking like 2 Giga Chads in a ring just spamming light attacks into each other's faces. It's effective, it's loud, it doesn't evolve. Take the Counterfeit Arena boss for example, a masterclass in procedural tedium. The encounter demands that you break each finger individually. Once all fingers are dutifully processed, the creature collapses, granting you a brief, conditional opportunity to strike its head. Conditional being the operative word, because if you are not positioned with the precision of a neurosurgeon, if you are a single step too far, the game politely informs you that your window has expired, and you fucking do it all over again. And the damage output at this stage ensures that the process must be repeated several times, not because it evolves, but because it refuses to. Even with the generous particle effects and respectable visual flair, the underlying structure remains unchanged. The game looks aggressive, but it feels administrative, and that is perhaps the most frustrating part. There is action, there is noise, there are lights, but there's no momentum. It is the illusion of intensity, sustained by special effects and undermined by repetition. And that's the tragedy, because buried underneath the lore, the emotional jump cuts, the cliffside amnesia, and whatever war crime happened in the sound department, the combat is actually good. It feels responsive, it feels stylish, it feels like someone somewhere understood the assignment. Because this isn't a broken game. It's a good combat system, trapped inside a full-length apology letter. Lost Soul Aside isn't a disaster. It's potential, aggressively mismanaged.